let us handle them at the same time. So, County Assembly, your 30 minutes is long gone. However, with this new direction that I've given, the directive that I've given, I will allow you to put what is the case of the County Assembly. You have dealt more on the preliminary objections. Proceed to state your case before we allow the representation from the Deputy Governor to also give us their opening statement.
We must oblige.
That way we'll save on time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, our case is very simple. It's a case of a deputy governor who decides to use his office for personal gain. Is a deputy governor gone rogue. Is a deputy governor who has decided not to inspire the youth of this country. In my opening remarks, permit me, Mr. Speaker, sir, to refer to the book of Exodus, chapter 18, verse 21. Moreover, look for able men from all the people, men who fear God, who are trustworthy, and hate bribes. Equally, Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to refer to Surah ya Pili, or the second chapter, verse 188 of the Quran. And they are taking of bribe, to thou were forbidden. For taking it and the devouring of men, substance worthiful bribes. And we have prepared for the disbelief among them and a painful moment. Mr. Speaker, sir, on the 29th, or the county government of Kisii, through the Guasco, advertises for a job for the commercial manager. The job is carried on the newspaper. The deputy governor gets to know about it, informs his friend, Mr. Joseph Mosati, whom he alleges he has been friends for the last 32 years, that here is an opportunity where your son can take or can be absorbed into the employment, makes arrangements on how to extort, defraud, and benefit with 800,000 shillings, creates a scheme where he meets the managing director of Guasco, informs her in advance that I have a candidate who will be presenting his application before you, convinces her or attempts to convince her that at the appropriate time I will do the necessary. And the necessary hearing being bribing the director of Guasco for purposes of return of a favor in favor of Dennis Mosati. Dennis Mosati is given the responsibility by his father to raise the 800,000 shillings. A young man, a poor man, a jobless man, a family man, a man who is destitute and desperate for a job, does all that is within his means, sells his salon so as to raise the 800,000 shillings, sells all his households, sufurias and everything else, so that he can raise the 800,000 shillings as sought by the deputy governor. Succeeds in that mission, raises the money even from his friends, and upon the success of the mission of raising the 800,000 shillings, forwards the same. The father is involved in that scheme, the mother is involved in that scheme, but finally the money lands to the deputy governor. Through the M-Pesa, through cash, the county assembly shall give evidence to that extent that yes, money was sent from the M-Pesa of Joseph Mosati, money was sent from the M-Pesa of Dennis Mosati, the complainant, and equally money was sent from the M-Pesa of Ann Mosati. And the money all landed to the benefit of the M-Pesa of the deputy governor. Subsequently, on the same day, the deputy governor sends 100,000 shillings to one Lucy Wahito. Upon receipt of these 100,000 shillings, Lucy Wahito, the managing director of Guasco, is perplexed, wonders why the deputy governor has decided to be that generous. Upon placing a call to the deputy governor in search of the reason for the forwarding of the remittance of the said amount, the deputy governor merely makes a statement. You remember what I told you? This is meant for what I had told you when I summoned you in my office. The good Lucy Wahito decides to resend the said amount, refuses to be influenced, refuses to be bribed, refuses to be corrupt. In essence, Lucy Wahito meets the qualification of the qualifications of the persons described by the Bible and by the Quran, refuses to be corruptible. Finally, the deputy governor receives the money, 100,000 shillings, resent back to him, and makes no further follow-ups. In his defense, he says that this was made to you, Lucy, as an error, takes no efforts to refund the same, to reverse, or even to call Lucy for the reversal. The other limb of the case, Mr. Speaker, sir, is where the deputy governor decides to abuse his office. Being the powerful man that he is, and his brother being the miserable old man that he is, decides to have it fixed his way. He mobilizes the county government enforcement officers to go and arrest the poor MONDA, the sickly Reuben MONDA, the hopeless Reuben MONDA. He's burdened into the police vehicle, courtesy and at the behest of the deputy governor. At the county assembly, Hanson bears as witness that yes, he confirmed that he's the one who mobilized the said enforcement officers. And be that as it may, the deputy governor, with all the resources afforded to him, decides even to apply the county resources in applying 4 officers, enforcement officers, uniformed to do odd chores at his farm. Odd as even cooking for his dogs. So the county government the Senate is presented with a case such as this one. Previously, the cases of impeachment, they have been pegged mostly on the question of the violation of the Constitution and the mismanagement of county resources. This is a unique case. It's a case where we are not inviting the senators to look at whether or not there is any resource or funds that have been lost. The question of oversight means that the Senate also has to look and interrogate whether the persons in the name of the county deputy governor squares out with chapter 6 of the Constitution. Is this a man full of integrity? Is this a man who can be trusted? Is this a man who can be held to account? Is this a man who is transparent? Is this a man who can inspire the youths? Is this a man who can be trusted with the county resources? Evidence will bear us witness when we begin to tender the same, that Dennis is not the only victim. The public participation processes that were conducted on the 26th of February, we have people claiming that yes, the deputy governor is a man who is full of insatiable greed for resources, to the extent that he solicits resources as low as 8,000 shillings so that he can facilitate the governor's bursaries. That is the man that is being trusted to oversee the activities of the county government of Kisii. Evidence will be tendered, honorable senators, at the fullness of time to prove that this is a man who does not deserve the mercy of this house. This is a man who does not deserve any further stay and holding that position of a deputy governor. How can a deputy governor solicit 20,000 shillings so that he can assist poor people, hustlers, to access the bursary? The deputy governor, you are elected by these individuals to serve them, but you end at the end of the day, you end by extorting them, defrauding them. Is not a man worth his salt. This is not a man worth the favor of this house. Permit me to invite Mr. Mutuma for further submissions. Sorry, Mr. Mwangis, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my name is Mwang. I rise to Mr. Speaker, sir, the Deputy Governor receives money from Dennis Misiati at 8:33 p.m. He receives another bunch of 49,000 at 20:37 p.m. on 28th of May 2023, and within a span of 40 minutes sends 100,000 shillings to the Managing Director of Guasco, Lucy Wahito, at 21:24 p.m. on the 28th of May 2023. He further sends money to 3 other people on the same day, 28th of May 2023, and the last transaction on that day was made at midnight. So he sends 100,000 shillings, and in his defense, he raises the issue that this money was sent by an error. Surely, from 9:24 p.m. to midnight, when he was sending the last transaction on that day, the Deputy Governor did not realize that he has sent money by an error until he is reminded by one Lucy the following morning. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of arresting his own blood brother, Ruben Monda, the Deputy Governor deploys not only 1, not 2, not 3, but a contingency of 20 county enforcement officers, accompanying police officers, to come and arrest and bundle his own brother into a motor vehicle. Surprisingly, Mr. Speaker, his own brother, today, because of the events that the ordeal that he went through on that day, he is now a diabetic man who has since started injecting himself with insulin, a condition that was not there before then. Honorable members, as I cede my 10 minutes to Mr. Mutuma, I invite this Honorable House to make a determination on the issue of whether or not the Honorable Deputy Governor should be removed from office by way of impeachment, as we have shown, and we shall strictly indicate to you and bring out through the witnesses that there was a clear and well calculated way by the Deputy Governor, who even confirms that he spoke to one Lucy to seek for favors. And he confirms that also during the County Assembly, and the Hansard confirms so. He also confirms that he spoke to Lucy about the issues of the bribe, but Lucy told him that the interview will be done by way of merit. Honorable members, I cede my few minutes to Mr. Mutuma.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the honorable members of the Senate. The case of the Kisii County Assembly is simple. It is a cry by the most vulnerable members of our society who have suffered at the hands of their leaders. It is a case of the most vulnerable members of the society who have been exploited by those in positions, those that they pay through their own taxpayers' money, and that is what these honorable senators are being invited to make a determination on. Honorable Speaker, sir, you will realize from the testimony of Dennis Misati that as a result of this ordeal, after 12 years of trial, getting their second born, the wife was so depressed to the extent that she collapsed and lost the baby. The thought of having sold everything that they had, the thought of losing everything that they were calling a source of livelihood was too much for her to bear. She had to undergo a miscarriage at the hands of the Deputy Governor. Last year, but one, honorable senators, I had the opportunity of appearing before the Supreme Court where we were on the same side with my learned friend, Mr. Katwa Kigen, and I want to quote him. He told the honorable judges of the Supreme Court that you have a right to be hungry. You have a right to be bitter. When a witness appears before you and concocts facts, when a witness appears before you and twists events and lies to you, looking at you straight in the eyes and tries to twist a very simple issue, then as honorable senators, you have a right to be angry. When you listen to the testimony of the deputy governor, you have that right. Invoke it. Tell him he's lying. Tell him that whatever he's telling you does not make sense. You do not receive money from an innocent person. Send it to the very person that you're being accused of seeking a favor from. You do not make attempts to reverse 48 hours later. The person you're seeking to bribe asks you to reverse, you do not. Then you come before Senate and look them straight in the eye and say, I had sent that money by mistake. You have a right to be angry. Exercise that right. Most obliged, Mr. Speaker, sir.
The County Assembly team, you've concluded your statement?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you.
Other than just to mention that the simplicity of this case was witnessed on the 31st of December 2012, when the Deputy Chief Justice, as then she was, Honorable Lady Justice Nancy Baraza, pinched someone's nose. Rebecca was a victim. Just pinching the nose of an individual caused the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya to go home. That is a test. The test is, can a public officer, a state officer, be allowed to behave in such a manner? Does the conduct of the Deputy Governor answer to the tenets of Article 10? Is he accountable? Is he transparent? Is he a man of integrity? Does he respect his office? Does this conduct bring honor and reputation to the office of the Deputy Governor? Equally, Mr. Speaker, sir, the case of Nixon in 1974, he faced impeachment only on the count of the Watergate case. What had the President of the Republic of America done, the United States of America done? Sent individuals to go and break into the Democratic National Convention offices at Watergate. Then he made attempts to conceal that evidence. On that basis, a president went home. On the basis of soliciting, receiving 800,000 shillings from poor Kenyans, Mr. MONDA must go home. On the basis of using the state resources to harass innocent and hopeless Kenyans, Mr. MONDA must go home. On the count of misuse of the county resources, the meager county resources, Mr. MONDA must go home. I so invite the senators to keenly look at the case of Nixon and the case of Nancy Baraza. Most obliged.
Thank you. Now I will allow the team of the Deputy Governor to take us through their statement. Now, Council, there's a difference between an opening statement and a final submission. Because what I've just heard from the last bit of the County Assembly, those are final submissions. So let's hear your opening statement, not your final submission.